Welcome to a special draft preview edition of the Tailgate. I'm Michelle Margaux. That is Ralph Vacchiano. Ralph, what number mock draft are you up to now?
You know, you mock me, but I've done 8 of them, and I'm running out of time. I actually have 72 more versions to get to. I have the Giants and Jets trading picks with each other. I got the Giants trading down for a kicker, which I probably can throw that one out. But I got a lot more, and I don't have time, so let's move this along.
All right, well, we're going to be joined by Connor Rogers, Bleacher Report's NFL draft analyst, in just a little bit. But first, I want to talk about BYU quarterback Zach Wilson. We didn't really talk about him at all through the season, but how did his draft stock rise up to the Jets' number 2 overall pick?
You know, it's interesting. I've spoken to his college coaches a few times over the past week or so and asked them the same question, and they all say the talent was always there. But what was different last year was his health. In his sophomore year, he was coming off shoulder surgery. He broke his thumb halfway through it, and he kept insisting that he wanted to play, and he just didn't play well. This year he came back, he's healthy, he's throwing the ball as well as he's ever thrown it. Things are starting to click. He studied a lot more, and it was just a chance to finally show the talent that he always had.
All right, switching to the Giants. Dave Gettleman says it's an urban myth that he has never traded down in the draft, but it's not. He literally has never traded down in the draft. So is this the year that it finally happens?
Yeah, I'm not so sure Dave understands what an urban myth is, or even a myth for that matter, but this could be the year. You know, look, when Dave said that, he was talking about the fact that he has tried to trade down in the past. We don't know that, of course, but he said he's tried and deals have fallen through, or maybe teams weren't offering what he wants. But the situation this year is kind of primed for a deal, because with 4 and maybe 5 quarterbacks in the top 10, you know, teams might want to trade up to 11 if a quarterback slips. The Giants obviously don't need a quarterback. If all the quarterbacks go before the Giants, a really good top 5 type player could fall to 11, and maybe the Giants might want to cash in on that if somebody wants to move. Also, they've been looking a lot at edge rushers. I'm not 100% sure they're going to take one, but those guys are not really top 10 caliber picks this year. You can get them lower in the draft, so he'll have the opportunity. He should have the motivation to move. I think that, this might be a myth-busting year for him. I think he might actually pull the trigger on a trade.
I guess we'll see. Let's high step into friend zone and welcome in Bleacher Report NFL draft analyst Connor Rogers. Thank you so much for joining us, Connor.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
What is it about Zach Wilson that the Jets think he's so good for their offense?
Well, you look at where Mike LaFleur is coming from in his history, right? And a lot of people love to go Kyle Shanahan. And it's absolutely right. You're going to see wide zone rushing principles. You're going to see, quick passing concepts and all of those things along those lines. But let's not forget his brother coaching in Green Bay, what they've run in Tennessee under Arthur Smith before he left. You're going to see a lot of that as well. And you watch Zach Wilson, what he does best besides the vertical passing game and the ball placement. It's that lightning quick release. It's the ability to get the ball out when you need him to. He's a good athlete to play out of structure, which is where the NFL is going. And I would imagine the fact that they decided on him, they just feel great about the person as well, because let's be real. Now that they've traded Sam Darnold, he will be the face of their franchise.
Who's the NFL comp for him? What quarterback, either current or recent quarterback, does Zach Wilson most remind you of?
Yeah, he's a tough one, because you look at, he plays like a smaller quarterback, like how you see Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray excel, which is with their legs and which is very compact mechanics. But Wilson's not the smallest guy in the world. He's 6'2", 214 here, Ralph. So, and I know a lot of people expected him to come in a lot smaller than that. So I think he is a bigger version of Russ. I think you can't, value enough those mechanics and the ability of the ball placement at all 3 levels. I mean, there is no throw on the field that Zach Wilson thinks he can't make. Little Stafford in his game as well. I'm not going to go as far as Rodgers and Mahomes. I know people have done that. I'm not going there. That's just an unrealistic ceiling for anybody to meet. But when you could take away principles of Russ's game, Stafford's game, a little bit of Kyler and Baker, that's something to be really excited about.
Moving on to pick number 23, who is the Jets' ideal pick right there?
I think you got to go offensive line. Now, the problem is you're not guaranteed that the board falls in your favor, right? You look at 23, you'd love to have Tevin Jenkins, a guy that's played on the left and right side. He can plug in at guard if you really needed him to. Same with Elijah Vera Tucker, a left guard in 2019. I think the best guard prospect in this draft, but played left tackle in 2020 and did it at a really, really high level. I just don't think they make it there. You look at picks 17 to 24, and you can argue every one of those teams needs an offensive lineman at a key area. Now, what I've always heard with Saleh is this team will keep stacking the deck with the front four. Yes, they went out and gave Carl Lawson a lot of money. They got Vinny Curry as a situational pass rusher. You got Sheldon Rankins on the inside, and we know what Quinnen Williams and John Franklin Myers can do. I just don't think they're satisfied. Honestly, if the board falls where the top edge on their board, whether that's Jalen Phillips or Azeez Ojulari, is available at 23, the offensive linemen they like are gone, they can go edge as well.
Switching gears to the Giants, which players are they targeting at number 11?
Yeah, they can go a lot of different directions. I think they still have a huge hole on the offensive line, but we don't know how the board is going to break for them, right? We think Penei Sewell is going to be gone. Rashawn Slater, we'll see. And if he's there, I think you have to take him. He's played right tackle for 2 years. He's played left tackle for 1. He has the body type and the skill set to play guard. You lost Kevin Zeitler. I still think you need to prioritize guard. But if the Giants feel they can get that later on, right, rounds 2 or 3, then you go best player available approach. Like, will Jalen Waddle be there? You've bet the house on Daniel Jones being your guy. You went out and gave Kenny Galladay a lot of money. This offense has weapons, but why not double up? If Devontae Smith falls, is that a risk they're willing to take? The Alabama connections the Giants have, they're going to know everything about Devontae Smith. And coming out of that school, everyone will tell you he was the leader in that locker room. He's the guy, one of the smartest players to come out of that school lately as well. So one of the toughest too. And of course they need edge pass rush help. Is 11 the spot you feel like you can take Jalen Phillips or Azeez Ojulari? We've never seen Dave Gettleman trade out, but if he does, then they can get their edge pass rusher a couple picks later.
They might, Dave Gettleman believes that this could be the case, but they might get lucky with 4 or 5 quarterbacks going in that top 10. A top 5 player could slide all the way down to their pick at 11. I think they would love it if a Kyle Pitts were somehow to drop that far. But when you look at those top 5 guys, who might be the most likely? Would it be Pitts, or is there someone else there you think is the most likely to push out of the top 10?
I think it depends how they stack it, of course, right? But I think it would be a wide receiver. I think Pitts will be gone. I don't think Dallas would ever let the Giants get Kyle Pitts. That's the one thing I have my eyes on. They have needs at corner. They have some needs everywhere else. I think Jerry Jones would just be fascinated by Kyle Pitts in that offense. How do they evaluate Micah Parsons, right? The Giants are a team that could take linebacker. Micah Parsons, in my eyes, is the best defensive player in this entire draft. But the value of linebacker, especially one that did not play in 2020, where you would have liked to seen his growth in coverage and overall, is something that I'm curious to see how they value it. So I know this, there are about 9 to 10 blue chip players in this class. And like you said, Ralph, 5 quarterbacks are going in the top 10. That is really good news for the New York Giants.
It's so interesting. Great insight. Thank you so much, Connor. We really appreciate your time. And we look forward to seeing you on the draft coverage on SNY.
Of course. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, this episode is all about this year's draft, but if you want to hear an actual experience from a former draft pick, let's take it from a pro.
I had multiple conversations with Coach Parcells, and he told me, look, we're taking a tight end in the first round. You're our guy. Well, I remember I had a huge party at my house, family, close friends. There was probably about 60, 65 people. We had this big tent, and then here comes the 27th pick. The Jets are on the clock. It's ticking, and I'm thinking everybody in my party kind of assumed like, oh, he's getting the call. 2 minutes left, minute left, no phone call. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I just got totally lied to, and then I'm thinking to myself, where am I going? Like, if I'm not going to the Jets, I didn't speak to the next 4 or 5 picks in the rest of the first round, and really the next couple teams in the second round. So I was thinking to myself, man, I'm clueless right now. I might be waiting, till Sunday before I get drafted. So he gets up, he says, hey, with the 27th pick, the New York Jets select Anthony Becht, tight end from the New York Jets. And it was like the loudest scream, everybody in unison, along with myself.
My agent was telling me I wasn't going to go until the second day, somewhere around the 4th or the 5th round. So I told all my family not to be there. So I was sitting at home, just on the couch, watching the draft. And then all of a sudden, my agent calls me and he's like, something strange is going on here. I think New York is about to draft you. And I'm like, yeah, right. And then the guy goes up there and he starts struggling to pronounce a name. I was like, oh, this really is about to happen. And then they called my name, and then, all hell broke loose after that. Everybody started calling me, all the people from my school, my family, because I was by myself at home.
Let's dive into the comment section. Ralph, what are Giants fans hoping for in the early rounds of the draft?
You know, they've got some specific requests here. I think some of them want one of those two Alabama receivers, Jalen Waddle or Devonta Smith. But when I put a poll on Twitter, the answers I got were in the first 3 rounds with their 3 picks, they want a receiver, an edge rusher, and an offensive lineman, and really in any order. I think each individual person has specific players in specific order, but as long as they come out with those 3 positions, which obviously are the Giants' biggest areas of need, I think Giants fans would be happy. Now, we'll have to revisit that after the draft. If the Giants pass on Devonta Smith at number 11 to take a guard, I would imagine there'll be a bit of a revolt. But as long as they come out with those 3 positions, I think Giants fans will be nodding their head thinking, okay, we've got a chance to have a good draft here.
All right, well, hopefully Dave Gettleman's watching the tailgate and listening to the Giants fans.
Of course he's watching the tailgate. What else is Dave going to be doing this week?
Well, it's pretty clear that Zach Wilson is going to be wearing green in 2021. So what do Jets fans want later on in the first round with pick number 23?
Yeah, I'm confident enough in Zach Wilson to have decorated my office with pictures of him. So obviously, if they change their mind, I'm going to look a little silly and have to pay somebody to come in and redecorate. But the 23rd pick is a bit of a mystery for the Jets, only because there's so much that can happen before they get there. When I did the Twitter poll, a lot of people wanted that offensive lineman. They had a lot of love for a specific offensive lineman, Oklahoma State's Tevin Jenkins, who could be picked in that range. Honestly, I think that Jets fans know if you're going to have a rookie quarterback, as good as my man may be, he's going to have to be protected. He can't make those throws on his back. He can't make those throws if he's constantly on the run. The Jets have already added some weapons this offseason, and they'd like to add some more, but protecting him is a big priority for Jets fans.
That's it for the special draft preview edition of The Tailgate. Thanks once again to Connor Rogers. You can catch him on our Jets Nation Draft Day coverage on Thursday and Sunday on SNY. For Ralph Vacchiano, I'm Michelle Margaux. Make sure you tune into our special live edition of The Tailgate on Saturday at 5 p.m. on all of our social channels.